Dark 9 Radio.
He woke to the sound of his own breath. Fast, wet, panicked, and a red glow bleeding into the black. It wasn't a light so much as it was an accusation. 5 tiny LED bulbs embedded in the ceiling of the box, glowing like the devil's eyes, painting everything in hell-colored hues. He could see just enough to know he couldn't move. Not really, not where it mattered. The space was barely bigger than a coffin. The walls were matte black, not wood, metal maybe, or plastic. Too smooth, too modern. It was as if someone had taken the idea of a coffin and upgraded it, with hate in their heart and time on their hands. He opened his mouth to scream, but all that came out was a dry wheeze and a cloud of his own fear. His throat was raw, his tongue felt like a cracked sponge. He had no memory of how he got here. Hell, he didn't even know who he was. His name flickered at the edge of thought, just out of reach. He banged his fists against the ceiling, but the box didn't budge. No give, no echo, no sound but the dull thump of his own rising terror. There was no handle, no latch, no seams, just a low crimson glow and the awful feeling that someone had designed this place, measured it to fit him exactly, down to the inch. And then came the real horror, the silence. The total, perfect, uncaring silence, as if the world had already moved on without him. His breathing slowed just a little, enough for the edges of panic to peel back. That was when he felt it, something resting on his chest, light but solid, a foreign weight in a place that should have been empty. He blinked up into the red-lit darkness, the glow of 5 tiny LED bulbs spilling across the ceiling like dying stars. His eyes adjusted just enough to make it out. An envelope, cream-colored, thick, the good kind. No stamp, no markings, just his name written across the front in smooth, confident ink. Matthew Keller. He swallowed, his throat dry and tacky, his name hit like a slap, not because he didn't remember it, but because he did. All of it. He was Matthew Keller, 39, married 16 years this April, father of 3. Emily was 15 going on 30, already rolling her eyes at everything he said. The twins, Nate and Charlie, had just learned to tie their shoes without the bunny ears. He wasn't supposed to be here. He was supposed to be in Vegas, room 821 at the Palms. Business trip, technology conference, some dry 3-day meat grinder filled with lanyards, lukewarm buffet shrimp, and PowerPoint slides so dull they could lobotomize a man. But Vegas had its own language, a place where rules came to die. Last night came back in fragments, fast and hot, like scenes from a movie he shouldn't have been watching. The bar, the music, the bourbon, the way the 2 women laughed too hard at his dumb stories, how their skin smelled like perfume layered over sweat and money. He remembered stumbling into the hotel room with them, the red heels, the open bottle, fingers pulling at his belt, a tongue in his ear. Then, nothing. A void. A blackout, no hangover, no headache, just absence, like someone had pressed pause on his soul. He forced a shaky breath and reached for the envelope. It came away from his chest without resistance, the paper cool and dry against his fingers. The flap wasn't sealed. He opened it carefully, as if it might bite. Inside, a single folded sheet of paper. He pulled it free, arms shaking, the silence pressing in around him like a second box inside the first. The paper trembled between his fingertips. He unfolded it. Matthew. You were the king of high school, popular, admired, untouchable. Not everyone saw the real you, but I did. You made sure I felt your cruelty every time we crossed paths. And yet somehow you were blessed. A successful career, money, a beautiful wife and kids. How could a man so cruel be handed so much when he damaged so many? You don't deserve it. Now, it's your turn to break. You're buried somewhere beneath the vast Nevada desert, encased in concrete, airtight, and unyielding. There's an oxygen mask by your left foot, enough to stretch your suffering for a few hours, if you can reach it. I want you to feel every second of this punishment, to claw and choke in the tight silence, desperate and alone. And while you fight for breath, know this, your wife and kids are in my hands now. There's nothing you can do to protect them. This nightmare is the consequence of your cruelty. Sincerely, Eugene Martin. Matthew's hands trembled as he folded the letter back and pressed it against his chest. The walls felt like they were closing in, the red glowing turning everything sharper, more real, his breathing a ragged rhythm, quick and shallow. Fear gripped him first, the cold, suffocating terror of being buried alive, trapped in a box beneath the desert, the weight of concrete pressing down like judgment. His pulse slammed in his ears, drowning out every other thought except the unmistakable truth. Eugene Martin had done this. His old victim, the boy he had tormented for years. Anger flared next, hot and bitter. How dare Eugene? How had that small, scared kid, once nothing but a punchline, come back to own him like this? Matthew's mind flashed to those days in school, the cruel laughter, the locker room humiliation, the whispered rumors and the relentless torment. How many times had he crushed Eugene beneath his shoe, showing off to the crowd, proving his own power? And now he was the one trapped, broken, begging for air. He knew he wasn't getting out. There was no hatch, no clever little secret door, no final act of redemption waiting for him in that box. It was a coffin. It would hold, it would last, it would never, ever open again. But still he tried, because hope's a mean son of a bitch. It sticks around long after the facts have taken a bow and exited stage left. And because even when your brain knows it's over, your heart still pictures your daughter's face when she made varsity, your son's giggling under the blanket fort, your wife looking up from her wine glass like you still mean something to her. So he moved, twisted, and twisted again, contorting his 40-year-old body in ways that defied logic. The walls were so close it felt like he was being hugged by a concrete god. His fingers were wet with sweat. Every breath felt borrowed. He scraped his foot against something rubber, kicked, missed, kicked again, clink. There, the mask. He wrestled it up his leg, slow, like trying to climb a rope in a dream. His arm screamed, his neck spasmed, a sharp pain bloomed behind his ribs. But finally, he reached it. The mask was slick and ugly and smelled faintly of rubber and ammonia. He didn't care. He slapped it over his face and sucked like a newborn tasting air for the first time. And for a moment, just a moment, it felt like he had bought himself a ticket. A little more time, a few more heartbeats. But the box didn't budge. He lay there breathing, but it felt like a joke now. Like Eugene had given him the mask just so he could think a little longer about all the ways he had failed. He thought about the bar, the women, how easy it had been to forget who he was supposed to be, how fast he let it happen. He thought about Eugene Martin, not the grown man who built this hell, but the kid with the too big backpack and the bad haircut and the eyes that never met anyone's for long. The kid he had ground into the dirt over and over just because it felt good to be the one doing the stomping. He thought about his family, his real life, the one he never earned. And the weight of it, the shame, the guilt, the truth settled over him like a second coffin inside the first. Time blurred, his hands tingled, the edges of the red light fuzzed and swam. Minutes passed, hours maybe, and then it just happened. A blink, a flicker, the red lights dimmed. The air felt thinner, or maybe it was just him. There was no final scream, no pounding fists, just a long, slow fading, like a man drifting off behind the wheel of his own death. Then, darkness. He woke up sweating through the sheets, throat dry, heart hammering like a fist against a locked door. The room was still, familiar. The cheap, bleach-scrubbed hotel air conditioning whispered from the wall unit. Somewhere outside, Vegas was alive. Cars, horns, the buzz of neon and regret. The clock on the nightstand blinked a polite 9:17 a.m. He sat up slowly. His muscles ached. Not the kind of ache you get from lifting weights or jogging around the park. The kind you feel after clawing for your life. His ribs hurt. His hands felt like they'd been clenched in fists for hours. The dream, or whatever the hell it was. The box, the red lights, the letter. Eugene? Jesus Christ, he muttered aloud. He stood, legs wobbling, and limped to the sink, looked in the mirror, same face, No bruises, no blood. Eyes a little wild, yeah, but no worse than a Vegas hangover. He splashed water on his face, tried to laugh, failed. Back in the room, everything was fine. His wallet sat neatly on the nightstand, still zipped, cash accounted for, credit cards untouched, phone plugged in where he had left it, no lipstick on the glass, no high heels in the corner, no scent of perfume, no evidence anyone but him had ever been there. Maybe he had just imagined it. Maybe he drank too much. Maybe the dream was his own sick brain finally vomiting up 2 decades of guilt. Or maybe it was food poisoning. He reached for his phone to check the time, and that's when it buzzed. One new message. Unknown number, no contact name, no location, probably spoofed. He unlocked the phone. The screen lit up with a video. First, the hotel room, his room, and him, shirt off, drunk, laughing, grabbing at a woman in lingerie that didn't look like his wife. Then, a hard cut, darkness, red lights. The camera must have been in the ceiling of the box. He saw himself again, thrashing, screaming, sobbing, fighting to reach a black rubber mask. His breath caught, his hands started to shake. Then, another text message. I showed you something you never showed me, Matthew. Mercy and grace. Don't think of going to the cops. If you do, your wife gets both videos. Hell, I might even send it to your daughter. Payback's a bitch, isn't it? Sincerely, E. Matthew sat on the edge of the bed. Everything in him, the guilt, the fear, the old pride that had protected him like armor for years, folded like wet cardboard. His ears rang. The room suddenly felt smaller. He looked again at the video, paused it on the part where he was screaming, mouth wide, eyes wild. And somewhere, he thought he could still feel the box, still smell the stale rubber of the mask, still hear the quiet hiss of borrowed air. He hadn't died in that box. He had been reborn.